Good morning, everybody. This is a very special day. All your efforts, both at school and at university, have culminated in graduation. You have shown you're committed, organized, and you have a vision. The world is now your oyster. What makes you unique is that you're part of only 15% of students who graduate in our universities each year. So very big congratulations from me. For many of you, the next big leap is to find work. You now have the skills sought by business, commerce, and industry. That is what a University of Technology is specifically good at doing. Some of you may have decided to see the world, use your skills to obtain work in other countries, while taking the opportunity to travel, whilst others may have decided to continue studying for a higher degree or diploma. Some of you may be in a hurry to continue studying, you may be in a hurry to rush off, make money, buy a car, the latest phone, some new clothes, and perhaps even property. All of this is still part of growing up, and indeed, what I have found is we continue to grow up for the rest of our lives. All the experiences of education and how you spend your time and resources when you're relatively obligation-free will count when you suddenly find yourself taking the harder decisions about long-term commitments, such as starting a business, getting married, having children, or looking after elderly parents. What you have done at university provides you with a leg up, a framework from which you can stand in the future. I was just listening to the introduction to what I do now, and I can assure you, when I was in your seat at my first graduation, I had no idea where I was going and where the world would take me. So indeed, this is an amazing day for you, because what opens up in front of you, you may not control and you may not guess. Whilst this university has provided you with wonderful skills for the workplace, there is a world beyond studying, having fun, and working for a salary. This is the world you have to navigate for the rest of your life. How do you make decisions in that world if you don't keep yourselves informed? How do you make decisions about where you will live, who your friends are, what kind of companies you'll work for? How do you make a decision whether to seek a life where you'll make a lot of money, or where perhaps you'll choose a lifestyle where you give back to your community and make sacrifice? Do these things just happen to you, or do you play an active role in deciding how these things should take place? As adults, there are even bigger decisions that will impact on your lives. And as you take over from your parents' generation, so your obligations and your responsibilities are going to increase. You'll have to deal with political decisions, not just who to vote for, but how the country you live in should be run. You will have to choose a government to steward this country through some very bumpy times. If you play no conscious role in your political landscape, then others will decide for you. If your economy works, how much tax you will pay, if your garbage is to be collected, if your lights and water function, if employment is created, if you can travel, if you have access to justice and you can speak your opinion. Are you going to just let others decide those things for you? During apartheid, the government controlled the minutiae of our lives, who we could marry, where we could live, where we sat on park benches, which trains and buses we could travel on, where we could be educated, and what we could read. If we don't play an active role in our own body politic, that's the degree to which we can slide. And then one day we'll wake up and say, how did that happen? So one of the big things for you is to keep engaged with politics, and I don't mean the big P and joining political parties, but being a watchdog to ensure the incredible rights and freedoms that you have today are sustained. So since apartheid, things have changed, but it took brave and proactive people to move us from a system of such enormous personal control of our lives to the freedom we have now. The world we live in always tends to gather power at the top, and over time it becomes increasingly difficult to ensure power is not usurped by ambitious political leaders. Your level of awareness, knowledge, and when necessary action will contribute to the maintenance of our democracy or its loss in the future. So I go back to the question, how do you inform yourself? In the world of social media, a huge amount of unfiltered information is freely available. This has value, but it also has dangers, as without proper evaluated information, we cannot discern what is true or what is false, what is manipulative and what is real. Reading and thinking remain a lifelong exercise to enable you to make the decisions you need to make. Our society is on the cusp of shifting from paper to full electronic reading mechanisms. It is easier now to read. You can download material instantly and read anywhere. However, the reality is that we are not reading. We are watching television. And we know that TV is entertainment. It's not education, and it's not necessarily informative. Can we say that we are going to make informed decisions based on television programs? The art of reading for pleasure is waning, and we're in danger of losing the kind of education that people receive through reading stories and novels. Stories and novels are full of history, ethical dilemmas, romance, science, myths, and legends. These are all part of our being, of our very being. Transferring knowledge is critical to the survival of a society, and as we reduce the amount of reading in our lives, so our views become less connected to the problems we need to solve, and our views become more vacuous and shallow. For example, if we look at what's trending on Twitter, it's more likely to be Brad Pitt's latest leather jacket and not the invasion of the Ukraine. The reality is that the situation in Ukraine is far more likely to affect our well-being than what Brad Pitt wears or doesn't wear. So when your house is flooded because of global warming and you don't really understand why, instead of blaming the city council, rather pick up a book that might provide you with some information on how to mitigate the problem before it's too late. We know children in South Africa aren't reading, as the international ratings regard our reading levels are rock bottom. If we are to avert a serious knowledge collapse in the future, where we could be much lower down on the economic ladder in Africa, reading, either on your Kindles, in the newspaper, on the net, or in good old books, is the only way that you'll be able to inform yourself how to make the decisions you need to make in life. Reading is a way of exercising your mind. It challenges our imagination and draws you into a thinking process that pushes the edge. How much more exciting than worrying about Justin Bieber's sunglasses? If you're reading, then the next question is, what kind of people do you want to be as you take up the responsibilities of adulthood? Do you want to be ethical or amoral? Have you thought about how to apply ethical standards in your personal lives? This is not just about our president having lots of girlfriends and building a big house on taxpayers' money. It is about you and me building a society where such a thing would be totally unacceptable. It is a society where we consider others, where we seek what is for the greater good before putting our immediate needs first. How should we behave in our relationships, and how should we engage with each other? Do you ever ask yourselves what is the right thing to do rather than what you want to do? What decision will you make if you are sitting on a selection panel and a friend applies for a job with your company but is not the best candidate but is good enough? What decision do you make if you find your flatmate has been stealing from the local supermarket? What decision do you make if you find your best friend has been cheating in his exams? What decision do you make if you know someone has bribed an official to get onto a housing list? What decision do you make if you know someone who drives without a license? Those are your moral and ethical decisions that you have to make. You'll be increasingly faced with such dilemmas as you move into the job market, which is competitive, and when you establish families that need financial and other support. Are we therefore distracted from the really important things by a desire only for material things in life? In the rush for consumables, do we forget what is really important? Our families, our friends, our health, and our morality. So again, I will ask, what kind of person do you want to be? And let's look at some specific contrasts. Will you be competitive or cooperative? Do you see everything as winner takes all? Or do you think you can achieve more by working with others? Will you be extractive or inclusive? Will you take all you can from family, friends, your employees, your clients, from the land and from the resources of this earth? Or will you take care of those around you and ensure you do no damage to the world you live in? Will you cast off or will you sustain? Do you throw away your waste, the clothes you've worn a few times, last year's cell phone, and last month's girlfriend? Or do you take care to sustain what you have, including your personal relationships? Do you only take or do you give back? Do you have expectation that the world owes you a living, that you are the victim of everybody else's success? Or do you ask yourself what you can give back to the others around you and how you can reinvest what others have invested in you? Is wealth and comfort your key objective? Or is your reputation perhaps more important? Do you want to be known as a wheeler and dealer, a dodgy operator, or rather viewed with respect? What is respect then? This includes the high regard people have for another. It denotes admiration for their qualities, recognition for their achievements, and high esteem in which you are held. To be respected is an honor that has to be earned. You cannot buy respect. Will you be passive or active? We are living in a country with massive potential where pioneering innovation can take place, where there's a skills shortage which needs to be filled, where individuals can take initiative and find incredible solutions to some of our social problems. Will you be one of those people who wait for others to take the initiative? Or are you going to try and push the boundaries, find the new ideas, and create the new world? Finally, look around you at the people in this room, your fellow students, your lecturers, other academics, your parents and friends. This is the community of the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. This is the institution that has helped you to take the next step into adulthood. You are now alumni of this institution. In effect, you are the only constant. Vice-chancellors, faculty members, lecturers, they come and go. But you are always tied to this institution. You reflect its successes and its weaknesses. What it achieves is shown through what you will achieve. Whether it has trained and educated you properly is shown through your success. Your graduation is no doubt the result of your hard work and effort. However, it's not taken place in a vacuum. You've had the support of your parents, the guidance of your lecturers and professors, the camaraderie of your fellow students. What perhaps you haven't thought about is the invisible support from taxpayers who have heavily subsidized your studies, from staff at the university who've given thought to curriculum development, what support you need to get through to graduate, and those who've raised money on your behalf to ensure that the facilities at this institution are globally competitive. Certainly, government subsidies don't come near what is required to support you and to get you through the system. I don't know if you've ever thought of this amongst all the other thinking I've asked you to consider today, but in time, it is important for you to consider giving back to this institution as alumni supporters so that others can have the same life chances that you have now achieved. Thank you.